In this video, I will show you how to work in sand stitch. This is a crochet stitch that looks great when worked in multiple colours, however it can also be done with one colour. This technique is used in our Love Again bag pattern. Today I'll be using Wool and the Gang's Ra-Ra Raffia in June Green, Crochet Tan and Cinnamon Dust with a 4.5mm crochet hook. Okay, let's get started. This stitch is worked over a multiple of 2 stitches. For this video, I have made a foundation chain of 20 stitches. First, I'm going to make another 2 chain stitches. These will count as 1 stitch from my turning chain and 1 stitch from my first chain space. So next, I'm going to work my first stitch into the 4th chain stitch from my hook. So I'm going to work a single crochet stitch into this chain. Then I'm going to chain 1 stitch, skip the next stitch, and then work a single crochet stitch into the following stitch. So I'm going to repeat these 2 stitches to the end of the row. So that's 1 chain stitch, skip the next stitch, then work a single crochet stitch. So that's 1 chain, skip, and 1 single crochet. Okay, so that's my first row done. For the second row, I'll be using my next colour. To change colour, I'll be working my chain stitch in the new colour. So simply pull the yarn through the stitch on your hook. Then I will work another chain stitch. This chain stitch counts as my first chain space. Then I'll be working a single crochet stitch into the next chain space. So then I'm going to make 1 chain stitch and then work a single crochet stitch into the next chain space. So I'm going to continue repeating these 2 stitches to the end of the row. So now I've finished my second row, I'm going to use my third colour to make my next row. So again, I'm going to make my first chain stitch with the new colour. So this is my turning chain, and then I'm going to make another chain stitch which counts as my first chain space. When changing colours in this stitch, you don't need to cut the yarn, as you will always be able to carry it up the side of the work. Okay, so as before, we've got 1 chain stitch and then we're going to work a single crochet stitch into the first chain space. And then we'll chain 1 stitch and work a single crochet stitch into the next chain space. And we're going to repeat these 2 stitches to the end of the row. For my next row, I'll be using my first colour again. So I'm simply going to carry on with the strand that's attached to my work and pull it through for my turning chain. Then, as before, I'm going to make another chain stitch and then I'll skip the first stitch and work my next single crochet stitch into the first chain space. So that's 1 chain stitch and then a single crochet stitch into the next chain space. And again, I'm going to change to my next colour by picking up the strand attached to my work and pulling it through, stitch on my hook for my turning chain, and then chaining 1 stitch and working into the first chain space. So this time I'm going to pick up my third colour again and make my turning chain, 1 chain stitch, and then single crochet into the first chain space. So now we've worked 2 repeats of the colour, you can really start to see the stitch pattern taking shape. To continue in this stitch, simply repeat the same row again, but changing colour each time. So once you've worked a few more repeats of your pattern, it should start to look like this. Thanks for watching.